welcome to the Flame and Fiber podcast. My name is Barbara. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Diva S. Hello, everybody. Well, the world is a different place since the last time I spoke to you. We're very, very different. I'm really kind of surprised how much harder it is for me to be in quarantine. I'm not literally in quarantine, but I am self-quarantining because, I went out and about a little bit yesterday, and so I have to stay home for a few days before I can think about maybe visiting my in-laws. 5 days at least. So, as a knitter, I know what I can do at home. It's easy to be home, I always was home a lot, but something about having to be home makes it harder. And I know that unless you're an essential worker, as many of you are, and thank you for your service, your health people and the grocery people who work at the grocery store and the truck drivers and the It's interesting to discover who's really essential in your community, don't you know? Funny how the high finance guys aren't that, necessary. Anyway, so I've been feeling I got the sun. It's going to move that way, so I won't come in my face as it moves a little bit. But anyway, I woke up yesterday feeling very sad. And I guess I'm some kind of YouTuber or vlogger or something, and I just wanted to talk about it. So I made a vlog yesterday. I really enjoyed doing Vlogmas. And so I think it's not going to necessarily be every day, but I'm going to periodically be doing my Corona vlog. And I have one episode up, which I put up yesterday, and I probably won't do one today because I'm doing my podcast. Probably can't tell this is my podcast because it looks a lot like my Corona vlog. But I really felt like I wanted to talk about how I was feeling, and so I did. And thank you to everyone who encouraged me to do it and said that it helped them. I really, really appreciate knowing that. We're all in this together, and it's funny to think about everybody's out there at home. And we're all knitters and crocheters and crafters, and that gives us, I think that gives us a leg up on the mental health issues that are going to come from everybody having to stay home and separated. It's hard to be home and separated. One big change, and we've only been doing this a week or whatever, in the United States. I have 2 friends who have daughters in Italy. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh. Obviously they're in contact with them very, very often, but what a thing to think about. Well, one of the things that was making me kind of blue up until yesterday was I hadn't really talked to my son and daughter-in-law in Florida. I had, but I hadn't. I've been texting and, But one of the side effects of this cell phone world is that you don't have a house phone. My kids don't have a house phone. They haven't for years, neither of them. And in the olden days, I would call the house phone. And sometimes Jason would pick up and sometimes Allison would pick up. And so I would talk to both my son and my daughter-in-law serendipitously, depending on who picked up the phone. Because I didn't care who I was talking to. I was happy to talk to either of them, and I was glad to talk to both of them. But in the days of cell phones and things, you have to pick who you're going to talk to. I suppose I could do a group text, but that seems a little weird because they're both sitting in the living room and they both get the text from me. I don't know. And we don't talk as much as we used to because of texting and things like that. But anyway, so I have a tendency to pick Jason. He's my son, And I would be very surprised if Allison's mother picked Jason very often. I mean, maybe he has regular conversations with his mother-in-law. I don't know. But the result is that I hardly ever get to talk to Allison or communicate with her unless I'm visiting her. And I have a great relationship with her. I love her dearly. I couldn't be happier to have her as my daughter-in-law. It's just, I just picked Jason. So anyway, she got a job that she really, 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 really wanted. She had applied for this job a year ago, and she went through all kinds of security clearances and interviews in the last 2 months to get this job, which is starting on Monday. So I was just sitting here trying to figure out how they're gonna manage, because they're down in Florida. All the grandparents are up here. Not that it's that safe to have 6-year-olds and 3-year-olds with the grandparents, but and her job is with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, so they're not closed, although her job did not sound essential. Like if you're doing non-essential, she would not. Anyway, so I was just sitting here fussing in my head about how are they going to manage this, because Florida hadn't declared a state of emergency yet and gotten really strong yet, because they still had their spring breakers down there. And so, like, they didn't close the beaches until today. They didn't close the bars until yesterday. The governor was really, I feel like he was really slow about stepping up, frankly. Much slower than our governor was and New York's governor. So anyway, I was just, how are they going to manage? They got 2 kids. They're not going to be in school, So I finally texted my daughter-in-law. Solution, hello. And she said that, her job is postponed until the state of emergency is over. I felt a little bad because, of course, she quit her job. She is literally between jobs. She left her job yesterday. She's supposed to start a new job on Monday. So she's literally between jobs. So she won't qualify for unemployment now that she can't go to work because she hasn't, But she'll be home with the girls if the girls have to stay home. They haven't even officially canceled their daycare situations yet. Their schools are still open and stuff like that. So, but anyway, it sounds like Allison will be able to be home with the girls, and that will be good. And I was worried about that. I'm like, I can't go to Florida and babysit kids. Unfortunately, I'm in the danger zone. I'm not as high in the danger zone as my in-laws are. And my mother-in-law's going crazy. Did I say that already? She's 89. My father-in-law will be 103 in June. They're, I don't even remember the word for being, they're in place. They're not going anywhere. But it's hard for them. I mean, last 3 or 4 days ago, she called and said, hey, we're going to Kaufman's and Stoltzfus's. Do you need anything? Kaufman's, we need apples. They need apples by the bushel. So she went out and about. She said, I wore my gloves and I was careful and Dad stayed in the car. He needed to get out of the house, which I understand. I said, you guys can just get in the car and go for a ride. Don't get out of the car, but it'll get you out of the house. So anyway, Dennis and I went out and about yesterday, which means we have to wait a few days before we can go visit them, just to make sure we didn't pick anything up, because they will not survive coronavirus. So, but even before coronavirus, I was taking my mother-in-law out for lunch once a week. Just an hour or 2 sitting with me, talking, having lunch, getting dressed. Was really helpful to her because she's a caregiver for her husband. And actually, he's doing pretty good. I mean, she doesn't need any in-home help yet. Dennis cooks for her. She's on keto like we are. And so he makes her keto food so that she doesn't have to cook 2 meals and that kind of stuff, because he's a pretty picky eater. I don't know if you can hear, the dogs are running in and out, running in. My house is going to be a mud pit. So anyway, I was taking her out to lunch once a week just to get her out of the house and keep her sane. And she had, it kept her sane. So I called her last night and said, you know, we won't be able to come for a couple more days because we were out today, but mark your calendar on Thursday. I'm taking you out to lunch. And she said, you can do that? I said, yep, I figured out where we can go for lunch where it'll be safe and we can have lunch and you can get out of the house. So mark your calendar. And if you need to drive through the bank or, you know, any errands that we're allowed to do, we can do those. Well, of course, I'm bringing her here for lunch. Dennis is going to cook her lunch. But she needs to get out of the house without Garland, you know. So I didn't tell her where she was going because I figured, how do you explain to his dad that she's going to lunch at our house and we're leaving him home? But she needs to be away from him for a while. And we'll also offer if they want to come out for dinner that they can come for dinner and get his dad out of the house. But his dad gets tired and doesn't really like to go places. I mean, he can get to the car and back, but, you know, they haven't been to dinner here in quite a while because but he's going stir crazy. Well, because people aren't coming to visit them, which they would typically do. So she's coming here for lunch. Dennis is going to make her some of his famous crab cakes, and then we'll send her home with a big giant bag full of food that he has made for her to put in her freezer. And that will make her happy, poor thing. She's going crazy. But I call her every day. This is your quarantine mental health care checkup phone call. How are you? She laughs every time. She's the best. So anyway, so that's what's going on here. We had a few errands. I mentioned this on my vlog yesterday, but this is a podcast, so I get to say it again. We feed our dogs raw. I've talked about that before. So between the two of them, they eat 3.5 pounds of meat, bone, liver, and egg yolk a day. Yeah. So Dennis actually was very cognizant of what was going to happen to us. He's a really smart guy, and he's a thinker. He was a philosophy major. And he's a bit of a doomer. So he was on the case of coronavirus long before Trump was, let's say. Trump was saying, oh, it's going to be a miracle in April. It's going to go away. He's changed his tune. It's not going to go away in April. But Dennis was like, nope. And so we bought actually a chest freezer, and we have been putting away chicken for the dogs. So we have some food for the dogs for a while, but this is going to go on way longer than we had food for the dogs. And so we went out and got some kibble for the dogs. I mean, people have been not being able to get chicken at the store and stuff. I mean, hopefully they're right and the food supply will continue on without problem, and I hope that's true. I pray that's true. Well, I don't actually pray, but if I prayed, I would pray that's true. So I hope they're right, and that keeps on. And and if it turns out that there's plenty of chicken, and like normal times, then we'll buy more chicken next time we go out and about, which won't be for weeks. But if it looks like we're not taking meat out of the mouths of people so that we can feed our dogs, as much as we love our dogs, and we love our dogs, but they can eat kibble. They'll just have to sacrifice too. And so we have kibble in the basement for them. If it turns out that's what we need to do. So we bought some of that. We had a couple other things we had to get to be all settled in. And now we're settled in. But the protocol, Dennis worked out this protocol. I mean, he's taking this very, very seriously. And the reality is I don't have to take it quite as seriously, which I appreciate, because he's taking it so seriously. I mean, he's sticking a thermometer in my mouth twice a day. He's taking my temperature twice a day. I don't have to think about it because he's going to stick a thermometer in my mouth. And that's just to make sure that we, because coronavirus is, you've got it for days before you know it. And so he wants a heads up, not that I have a temperature. That means he's been exposed for days, but anyway, it's better to know. So our protocol for going out yesterday, we needed to get dog food in big bags. We needed to get softener, salt in big bags. Our water it runs red straight out of the well, and so we have to filter it and soften it to make it drinkable. So we had to get softener salt because we were very, very low on that. And Dennis has an Amish farm that he buys meat and eggs from, and we had an order to pick up from them. They have it, the meat is all frozen already. They have it already in a box. So he just walked in, paid, carried the boxes out. But the protocol that he came up with was, I never got out of the car. He went in, he put gloves on to go into the feed store to get the dog food. When he came out, I opened the door, the back hatch to the door. We have a station wagon. I opened the back hatch, and he put the dog food in the car. He took his gloves off before he touched the handle of the car, got in the car, put the gloves in the trash bag, wiped his credit card with a Clorox wipe, and his hands with a Clorox wipe. Went to the next store, put another different pair of gloves on, went in, got all the bags. I opened the bag for him. He put all the bags in. Before he touched the car, he took the gloves off, put them in the bag, trash bag he had, took another Clorox wipe, wiped his credit card again, wiped his hands again. We went to the third place to pick up just the boxes, and this is an Amish farm in the middle of nowhere. Pick up just boxes that were already packed. Had new gloves on. He used 3 pairs of gloves for this operation. Now he has, so anyway, same thing. Wiped his credit card, wiped everything off before, and then we came home. To get everything out of the car, he put gloves on, moved everything out of the car. We didn't spray down the bags of anything. He just carried the bags all down in the basement. Oh, poor man, talk about getting a lot of exercise. Those bags are really heavy. But he used gloves. I sprayed the outside of the box from the farm with, we have a Lysol spray, or a Clorox spray, which is water and Clorox, and let them sit for 10 minutes before we opened them. We opened them up. I sprayed every package of meat. They were all frozen and pre-packed. I sprayed them with the Clorox spray. I sprayed everything with the Clorox spray. Let them sit for 10 minutes. The meats got wiped off again and put in the freezer downstairs. I mean, we got mail that I've been dying for peanuts, and Dennis ordered me peanuts and they didn't come, and then he realized he didn't really order them, so then he had to order them. So I've been crazy for my peanuts, and but I'm not going to the store. I didn't, I'm just going crazy so the peanuts arrived I sprayed, I opened them, I put gloves on, I opened the box, I recycled the box without touching, with my gloves on. Took the big cans of, 2 big giant cans of peanuts this big. I sprayed the cans of peanuts with the Clorox spray. Let them sit for 10 minutes. Then I wiped them down with water to get the Clorox smell off of them. This is how we are. This is our new protocol. This is our new protocol. And, we're periodically wiping everything with Clorox. This is our new protocol. We're very, so, I can laugh and smile at Dennis because I know that we are doing as much as we can. As much as we can. Because I really do want to be able to go visit my mother-in-law. She's going crazy, but I am not going to make her sick. I'm not going to be the one. I'm not. So I call her every day. Anyway, enough coronavirus. So we're home. And I'm going to be doing a Corona vlog periodically. I don't know if I'll do it every day. But it helped me a lot yesterday to do that vlog because yesterday I woke up sad. I'm feeling better today, partly because one of the things I decided yesterday is I need a routine. I'm not going to the gym, obviously. I need to figure out, and one of my goals for the next few days is to figure out an exercise routine that will help me, help my body. I'm sitting too much. I'm just sitting and watching TV and watching coronavirus TV 24/7 and knitting. And my legs hurt and my butt hurts. I mean, I'm sitting so much my butt hurts. So I need a routine, and I need to start doing things. There are plenty of things I can do around my house. Oh my gosh. I was saying yesterday that I haven't made one iota of progress on my room since last I talked about it in January. That's how bad it is. But because my room is still kind of empty, it's also a place where I can exercise without the dogs. I can close them out, and I can get on the floor and do my fire hydrants, which I hate, and, you know, things like that. So, silver lining. So I got to be careful not to fill up my room too much that I won't be able to do my exercises. But well, what I'll be doing will be around the house, and, you know, my Corona vlog could end up being so boring, and I apologize in advance. And obviously, if you're not enjoying it, you won't watch it. Because it's just me talking, and here I've been talking for 20 minutes. I'm a talker. I hope you guys are all safe. I hope you have a dentist in your life that's keeping you on track for keeping everything sterile and But I have knitting. This is my Granito sweater, and I do not know. I'm downstairs, and I do not know if I am going to be able to show you my sweater. It only goes down to there. It's got pockets. This is by Joji Locatelli. This yarn is blacker yarn. They're Tamar yarn, and I forget the color, but I'll put it on the screen because I have it in my book, which I didn't bring. But I love the color. I really like the pattern. The pattern was fun, and I do like having a pocket. But this is the first time I've actually putting it on after it's blocked and everything. I'm feeling a little bit of an itch. So this is definitely going to be a cold weather sweater. And the thing is, I would, you know, if I was going to wear it around, I would need a turtleneck under it, which means it would really need to be a cold weather sweater. But my problem with that is I made it probably a size too small. It fits me perfectly. I'm comfortable in it. The sleeves are tight. I almost took the sleeves out and tried to make them a little bit bigger because they are tight. But actually, they're very comfortable. It's, you know, but you can see I have there's no extra in these sleeves. And it was so funny when I was trying to figure out if I had to take them out or not. Dennis is like, well, can't you block them? Oh, he's knitter adjacent, you know, so he understands. I said, no, this is not the kind of thing you know, there's only so much you can do with blocking. But they're not too tight, but they're probably too tight to comfortably have a turtleneck, a long sleeve underneath these sleeves. Of course, you know, I'm slowly losing more weight, so it's possible that eventually by next winter I could wear a turtleneck under it. I'm fine with the itch. I mean, I've had it on for about a half an hour now since I got up, and but I'm still aware of it, but it wouldn't drive me crazy. And if I were actually cold, but I'm sitting here practically in the sun, so I'm not actually cold. In fact, I'm feeling a little glistening. And I think if I were actually cold, it wouldn't bother me. You know, itchy wool is itchier when you're a little warmish. So I'm loving the sweater. I love the color. I love the design of it. I will probably make another one of these because I like it so much. I might make it a little bit bigger so it's a little more flowy. I'm feeling, you know, I'm still working on what size to make. I'm still working on what size I am. So that's part of the problem. You know, I don't want to make them too big because I have taken 2 sweaters, maybe 3, when I was going through my stuff. I took 3 sweaters and threw them on my chair in my craft room and said, okay, these are stash. I'm just going to take them apart and reuse the yarn because they're too big. They're way too big. I'm not going to wear them the size they are. So and that's the nice thing about our craft is you don't lose your raw materials. You know, you paint a picture, you don't get the paint back. But you knit, you don't like the sweater or no longer serves its purpose, stash. So that's good. But anyway, I'm really loving it. I enjoyed knitting that Tamar yarn so much. And if you don't mind a slight prickle factor, very slight prickle factor, gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. So I'm really, really happy with it. This is the Granito by Joji Locatelli. And yeah, I'm very happy with it. So I finished that since my last podcast. And of course, you know, I'm still a little bit on my stockinette kick where I don't want to think too much, but this had pockets. I had to think about the pockets. So I'm thinking a little bit. So now that it's warming up a little bit, now, you know, and I'm just making sweater after sweater after sweater, I'm like, maybe I need to make a summer sweater. I don't know where I put my summer sweaters. I went to try on some of my summer sweaters just to see how they are now since I've lost weight since last summer. I don't know where I put them. So eventually I will find them. But meanwhile, I decided, this has been in my queue for a while, or on my radar. This is the Edie by Isabell Kraemer. You know, I'm an Isabell Kraemer lover. I love her patterns. Although the reality with Isabell Kraemer's top-down raglan sweaters is they're probably all kind of the same pattern, and then she just does something a little bit different. But anyway, the little bit different here is she's got these stripes, and I don't know if you can see that, little stripes of texture on this. I hope you can see it on there because it's harder to see on my sweater. But I have been a busy little girl. And here is my Edie sweater. Oops, I got my yarn. I'll tie it around it. There we go. This is my Edie sweater. And I am just about at the place where this sweater, you can't really tell on this pattern, but it's got short row curve at the bottom. You can see here, it's just got this little thing going on, just so there's like an inch of short row and detail at the bottom to give it a little bit of a shirt tail kind of thing. So this yarn, you can see the texture details. This yarn is a yarn that I got at Maryland Sheep and Wool several years ago, and I was really sad to hear that they've canceled Maryland Sheep and Wool. In part because these people were the first people I ever got. When I get there, I make a beeline for their booth because they are not online. So this is the only place I can get this yarn. So, and they're all natural. They do one of a kind, all natural dyeing. This skein had 950 yards. I was concerned based on the pattern whether or not I would have enough yarn, but I'm at the bottom, and this is a short sleeve sweater, so I am going to have plenty of yarn, so I'm not worried about that. So I can make the sleeves as long as I want, and I can make the sweater as long as I want. So I'm soon, in fact, later today, probably going to put this sweater on waste yarn and try it on because I want to make sure that I have it the length that I want it. I'm really happy with the length of the Granito, but the Karina sweater that I finished in my last podcast, I think I'm going to be taking picking that out and adding another 1.5 inches. I wore it several times, and every time I wore it, I was pulling it down like it felt too short to me. So it wasn't short enough to be cropped, and it's not long enough to be like not cropped, you know? So the Karina sweater, I think, is going to be a little bit of a redo, you know, just add 1.5 inches at the bottom, and that will be perfect for me. So I want to make sure that I get this the right length. So this is interesting to me. This is a beautiful yarn, and I have a terrible time deciding, and it's hard to see, you can see. So there's like pink and peach together in this yarn. And it's hard for me when I look at a skein of yarn or a ball of yarn to figure out what is that going to look like when it's knit up. Well, this turned out to be very stripy, which was fun, you know, and I'm good with that, you know, irregular stripes, but it looked really stripy. So at the beginning of this sweater, you're of course knitting for a while back and forth. You must be. Yeah, you're knitting for quite a while back and forth, and then you get to the bottom of the V-neck, and now you're knitting in the round. And so I was curious. I've been knitting back and forth, and I've got these stripes. How's it going to look when I put it all together and start knitting in the round? Well, I got a little tiny bit of pulling right there under the V, but otherwise it's still stripey, stripey, stripey. So you go down, and there's the first texture-y thing, which is fun. It's this little slip stitch texture thing, which is very easy to memorize and fun to do. So then, here are my markers. So you get to here, and you decrease by 4 stitches. So this is very near under the arm, right? And you see the stripes kind of change a little bit. They're a little bit wider. Then you get down here and you take another 4 stitches out. And once you've taken so now you've taken a total of 8 stitches starting here, and then you start to get serious pulling. And I thought that was really interesting. Now the stripes go away, and now you have pulling. I was wrong about the way the sun was gonna work here. Dennis is up now, so the dogs are wild and the water's going. That's all right. Life stuck with everybody in the house, right? Not that he wasn't always in the house, but I used to be up in my room. So you can see the pooling, and I wasn't sure if I was liking the way it was pooling, and so at one point I broke the yarn and pulled from the center of the ball to try to change the pattern. Did not work. I mean, it was like exactly the same. Didn't work. And so I have pooling until I start adding stitches back. And when I started adding stitches back, voila, stripes. So I think that's really interesting. And I'm not, I haven't tried it on. I don't know if that's going to feel weird. I don't think anybody will notice but me. I mean, only a knitter's going to notice that, right? I think. Anyway, so I have this tiger stripe pooling in the middle of my sweater. But I don't, it is what it is. And it's beautiful yarn. Oh, and this yarn is 65% merino and 35% bamboo, which is what makes it a summer sweater. And it was dyed with madder and cochineal. Natural dyed yarn. So anyway, this is my Edie by Isabell Kraemer. I am almost done with the body, and then sleeves and neckline. And her necklines are always very, very minimal. What do you do for the neck on this one? Optional neck finishing. I mean, she thinks you don't even need to do anything. And it's only a couple of rows, so. But you can see, I mean, it's a cash sweater, and I'm gonna like that. So here's my whip, the Edie sweater, and I'm really, really happy with it, even with that striped down my middle, my tiger striped middle. And so this will soon be done. I am not sure what I'm going to make next. I have really enjoyed wearing my boxy. They're rustling. I have really enjoyed wearing my boxy. And I have kind of a bamboo cotton yarn that I've had for quite a while. This is all stash mail stuff that I've had for quite a while, and I might make myself a summer boxy. The other thing that's needle adjacent is my Behold. I had promised Christy. This is the Christmas present for my son-in-law. Oops. And I brought the wrong one. Now I got to go find my Behold. My cross stitch. It was his Christmas present. So I have to finish that. But I can't go to Michael's to get a frame or anything, but I do have to start working on it. And I haven't done cross stitch in months. So I think once I get started finishing that, it's going to make me want to do cross stitch. I'm afraid. You are sitting on top of Dennis's seed. Can you see that? His seed starter thing, which is not very stable on the top, and so you slipped. So now you're a little, there you go. So I will be picking up my cross stitch in the next couple weeks, and finishing my Edie sweater and maybe doing another boxy. I mean, this is going to be really boring knitting for you guys too, but you know, I'm going to be home. I need to figure out things to do, but I've always been home. I'm retired. You know, this isn't a huge change for me other than psychologically. It's because I've been home, which, you know, but I'm home in a different way than I was, that's for sure. I do want to remind you, we're doing our Craft From Your Stash Make-Along. Leslie from the Not Quite Enough Yarn podcast and I are doing this for a second year. Thank you so much for everybody who's participating. Things are so lovely. I do need to get in Ravelry and be a little more lively there. But thank you. And my next podcast, it's like the 21st today or 22nd. It's spring here. It's spring. My next podcast will be in April, and I will be choosing prizes because we're having a quarterly prize, a yarn prize from my stash, and it will be pulled from the FO thread, and from the chatter thread I will pick someone to send them a pattern from a Ravelry pattern. So that will be happening in the next actual podcast. With everything going on and the economy going to hell in a handbasket and everybody's lives changing, the other thing I wanted to say is I have a big stash. I don't have to go shopping. I don't have to worry about not having enough nice yarn to craft with. If your situation has changed so much, or if you're in a situation where you just couldn't possibly be able to get nice yarn to do your craft, we need our knitting and our crocheting to continue to be sane. It's going to keep us sane. We're lucky to have that. You know, I feel bad for people who are like workaholics and don't have a craft in their home and they don't have anything that will help them with their mental and emotional health. And we're lucky to have our craft, even though that doesn't mean we aren't still having mental and emotional upheavals, which we are. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, if you're in a situation where you do not have nice yarn to knit with, I have lots of fingering yarn, and if you please get in touch with me, I'm going to be doing a mailing. I'm not going to the post office very often, so I will be mailing. I'm presuming that the winner of the yarn prize will contact me. So in about 3 weeks, I'm going to be going to the post office, and if you don't have nice yarn to knit or crochet or work with and would like some fingering yarn from my stash, I would be happy to send it to you. So, because everybody needs nice yarn. And if anyway, get in touch with me through Instagram Messenger or Ravelry, or somehow let me know in the comments that you could use, you could use some yarn, or you want to get in touch with me, and I'll try to figure out how to do that without, whatever, you know what I mean. We'll figure it out. Figure out how I can get your physical address so I can send you some yarn. I haven't been in the studio. I don't have any stitch markers to send out, so maybe I'll be doing that. I'm not sure. It's been so long. I screwed up my kiln. Anyway, so please contact me if you are not in a position to buy nice yarn to work on while you're in the confinement of your home, and I will send you some, because everybody needs nice yarn to craft with. So please don't be embarrassed or feel weird about that. I really would love to send it to you. Also, I have lots of toilet paper. People need toilet paper. I don't know if I'm going to be mailing toilet paper all over the country, but if you're near me. But we didn't go out and grab a lot of toilet paper. Like I said, Dennis, he's been prepared for a long time. We didn't buy a single roll of toilet paper when this all came up because we had it already. So anyway, I think that's all I wanted to say. Except I really, really, really hope that you're all staying safe and healthy, and that that, you know that you're not alone. We're all home alone together. And luckily we have a craft that does help us keep our sanity. So we're lucky in that way. We're lucky in that way. And if you're unlucky enough to not have a nice stash and now in a situation where you can't buy yarn, please let me know. And I'm not sure what else to say. I think throughout this ordeal, which we're all going through, and it's really interesting and weird for me to say, I know for a fact that every single person who's watching this has been told to stay home. It's not like some Pennsylvania thing or some U.S. thing. It's everybody in the whole world are supposed to stay home. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. But the main thing is to stay healthy and make sure you keep other people healthy. And wash your hands. Do what you can. You got to do what you can. You got to do what you can to stay sane and to stay safe. So now I know most people, a lot of you are going to have plenty of time to do the crafting that brings you joy, and you need to do it and make sure to take care of your mental health in addition to your physical health. And if I forgot something that I wanted to say, I'll be doing a vlog tomorrow probably. But we're all in this together, guys. We're all in this together, and we need to hold each other up and help each other. So I will be here, and I will be doing my thing too, just like you are. And I hope you all stay safe and well and have lots of time to do the craft that bring you joy. And if you're using Stash Mal 2020, take good care of yourselves. Bye-bye.